congratulations on such a unique, heartfelt, and brilliant script. You guys did a great job. What is a writing like for something like that?
It's like editing. It's like editing ahead of time. It's like if something doesn't work even for a second, there's no like, well, we could cut around that or hide that. So that's what Gavin. I feel like Gavin said that a number of different times. It's like, when you're doing a single take, the editing's in the writing.
Well, I think, part of this movie, like the writing is rolled into the pre-production because we were looking at locations and figuring out, because, when you're not editing, you need to know, for example, it's not no spoilers, but when, at one point the character of Scott walks from a bar to his apartment. Well, we have to find physical locations because we're never cutting in a single take. We need to know that how long that walk takes. Does that walk take 3 minutes? Does that walk take 25 minutes? Like whatever it is, since we're doing the split screen thing, we need to be able to know what to write on Beth's side of the screen and how to best balance that. And even just if, in any movie, if the character of Beth is moving from classroom back to the main room where she picks up the phone, in any other movie you go cut and she's over there instantly with a slight time jump. But in real time, we need to know, okay, that's going to take her 35 seconds to walk over, and just figuring out how to pace all of that at the same time. A little bit like a stage play, in a sense, as you're writing.
I would imagine it's a lot like choreography, a lot like dance.
Yeah. So the script was constantly evolving, not in the sense of the story we wanted to tell or the beats of that story, just how to do the choreography and the blocking and make it work, that either didn't become a 3-hour movie or end up being a 35-minute movie.
Tell me about the approach to doing it as a one-shot type feature, because not everybody raises their hand up and wants to do something like that simply because of how difficult it is. So why did you decide to do that?
David and
Gavin's the one to raise his hand and say, I want to do that, because I pitched him the idea of, hey, what do you think of this? Because Gavin does a lot of like long takes and single take music videos, and had already done a 20-minute single take short film that was pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go ahead, Gavin. Tell him about how great I am.
Both David and I felt we didn't have enough gray hairs, so this should probably set the course for the rest of time. It's the challenge to do it, not to, you can use this technique as a gimmick. There's lots of gimmicky music videos, including some of the ones that I've made, and they're just fun and kitschy to watch. The reason with this story we thought it would be interesting is, like, from the character Beth's perspective, by never cutting, having the single take, you as an audience member get to be in her shoes. You get to sort of hang on every moment and every word that she says, almost as if it was you on that phone call, in a sense. And that became really the core of what we wanted to accomplish with it. In terms of actually pulling it off, it all comes down to a lot of tech rehearsal, with the sound crew, the lighting crew, because you have to hide every single light cord. The camera is always moving 360 degrees in every location. So it's not like the normal set where you have what they call the fourth wall, where everything's built and then you hide all the gear and the cables and the technicians behind it. We had to be seamless. So it's just, the biggest thing that worked for us was we filmed every single rehearsal, and we're able to assemble like a rough version of the movie every day that we wrapped rehearsal, so that as a team we could watch it and make changes, make the notes for both the performance, like the actors, the script, and all the technical would work as a team every night to just keep adjusting. And you can sort of literally go through the history of our rehearsal takes and just see the movie slowly improving up until the take that we got the movie.
Yeah, it's an incredible process. David, your character, I mean, you obviously, this is kind of, a different kind of acting job, because you're acting in 360 degrees, not just, to a camera, but you have to be fluid in what you do. How did that affect you?
I think with as much time as we spent, doing those tech rehearsals, I mean, we were on location there for 10 days leading up to our 4 days of shooting. But prior to that, Sarah and I would rehearse just over the phone, because she was in Canada and I was still in Los Angeles in the month or two leading up to when we would all meet together in Windsor, Ontario, where we filmed the movie. And so I think like we spent most of the work really, or for me anyway, just really understanding this character. And I had the advantage of having written the script. So I had been in this particular man's mind for a year and a half before we started our rehearsal, just as we sort of kind of shaped the narrative, learned a lot about what these crisis prevention hotline workers deal with, what resources are available to them. And they're extremely well trained. They have a lot more access even than the police might, as far as their ability to legally trace calls and find out where people are living and all those things. And that's what influenced our decision to look at it from the perspective of a stranger. So somebody that hasn't gone through all that training, who doesn't know all these things, who isn't conditioned in a certain way to be on the phone with somebody who's looking to not see tomorrow. And so we felt like as far as the story, it gave Beth's character a lot more universal, I don't want to say appeal necessarily, but like it made it easier for anybody to kind of step into her shoes and think, what would I do in that situation?
As a movie lover, because I had to be that first, I'm thinking to myself, this could have gone, this could have been a high-end comedy as well, but you treated it, so humanly and so wonderfully that this is a slice of life movie. This is a really heartfelt film.
That's sort of, my style. And obviously David and I share a brain in many senses. That's why we're able to work together. A lot of my work that I think connects the most with audiences is when it has the integrity and the honesty and trying to make things feel realistic. That's what I really appreciate in cinema. The films that I love are the one, like my favorite TV show in recent history is Normal People. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's just the most like gripping, gut-wrenching real take on like a dating relationship that's flawed, and that could easily be a kitschy kind of rom-com, but they go the opposite direction when they're like, no, we're going to just stick that dagger back in everyone's chest that they all remember what all of these hardest moments of a relationship feel like.
I'm still recovering from that last episode.
Yeah, exactly. And then David and Sarah both have theater in their background, and I've seen, so like full disclosure, Sarah Booth is my wife, if you haven't made that connection yet.
What?
But, yeah, what? Exactly. And not because we got married, because we met on Last Call. That had happened previously. I had I had a chance to see her in a play called Blackbird, which I don't know if you've ever read or seen perform, but it's not unlike Last Call in the sense that it's very hard subject matter. The play has no scene breaks, no act breaks. Just that's it. You're watching, no intermission. You're just watching it, and with two actors in one go. So having seen her pull that off, I was like, okay, we definitely have the right team here to make this work. This movie, all movies live and die on if the script's great and the actors are great, you will almost forgive everything else in the process, I believe. If the camera's off a little bit, if the score's off a little bit, if you have those two elements, you've got a solid movie. And then if you get those two and a few of the other things happen to work out, then it works extremely well. And
there's something very, very stage theatrical about this movie as well. I mean, I could see it very easily translated to a stage play. It's got an Edward Albee feel to it as well. But again, this is a wonderful film that I don't think people should miss. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that do, go on IMDb and read the descriptions and all of that, but this is not used as a gimmick. You've really incorporated the one-shot feel like I would think Orson Welles would, or Soderbergh, as I said, before we started this. You've made it, kind of, that's the prism we're looking through at these two people. And what a wonderful, wonderful job this is.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All of those films, my high school film teacher, Keith Herrick, showed me Rope, Hitchcock's Rope, and obviously there are hidden cuts in there because a roll of film could only go 10 or 11 minutes, and they had to cut. They were forced to. But as technology developed, I remember seeing Time Code and Russian Ark and thinking like, these are just master classes in what to do. But I love those movies. I don't think the story was as strong, particularly Russian Ark. It's more of just like a weird art concept. But I mean, they had 2,000 extras and 3 live orchestras. And it's just like, it's an accomplishment like no other in cinema history. They also only rolled 1 take. They got it on the first take, which is a miracle. And Victoria more recently, or even things like Birdman in 1917, that yes, they're stitching shots together, but when you see the movie, you realize why, because to accomplish that story, there wasn't a possible way of actually doing it in a single take. I love the real-time filmmaking aspect, and I'm so happy that, David brought this story up and we were able to do it. And we often said on set, we did this on a very, very low budget. We only actually had 4 nights to film and potentially get this film right and in the can. We also said this might just be the greatest documentary ever made about a film that didn't get made. There was a real possibility, because it wasn't like if we went past those 4 days, everybody was booked. Our cinematographer was off on another job. We don't have studio money to bring everyone back a week later and try to reshoot it. It was just going to work or not work.
Yeah, it's got to be difficult these days. I mean, you're doing an entire film, on the catering budget of a TV show, basically.
On the daily to weekly catering budget of a TV show.
Yeah, I don't know about maybe their craft services budget.
Yeah, the crafty table. As we wind up our interview, I mean, are you guys collaborating on other things? I mean, this is a great team.
We definitely are. David and I are.
We're not going to work together ever again.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, listen, the good news is that with David about to relocate to another city, we've all gotten used to this Zoom collaboration thing. So, which is, isn't much different. Often David and I will write over the phone or Zoom anyways, family lives and things keep us busy. But yeah, we're actively writing something right now, and we've got another 40 concepts together in the canon. So I'm sure you will see another production from us in the near future.
What do you think audiences are going to pull out of the film, David?
Well, having had the advantage of being on the festival circuit for the last year or so, we've really gotten a chance to hear what a lot of audiences are saying. And my hope with this, because it started with story, the use of a single take and doing split screen was more to service the story we were trying to tell than it was the impetus of trying to make the movie. And so my hope is that the audience sees it as an icebreaker for conversations that a lot of people feel are too hard to have, and that we can start chipping away at the stigma of mental health and, allow people to comfortably and safely address a conversation that is, heretofore been sort of taboo. And because I feel like the more comfortable people are talking about something, the less afraid they are of it, and also the less alone that they feel when they realize they're not the only ones. And also that, that people will be encouraged to be kind and to listen. And as if Beth's character wasn't, then it would be a shorter and much sadder movie.
Yeah, and again, Sarah did such a great job in this film as well. I mean, it was the perfect counterpoint to your character, and that's what you need in a movie. It has, like you said, Gavin, it has to have all of those things, but story first, and it's a riveting story. So thank you for making this film. We can see it on all video on demand platforms.
It is out. So right now it's in physical theaters in Canada. It started last week. It starts this Friday in America in select cities in physical theaters, but the majority of it is through the Lemley Theater Group, the virtual cinema program. COVID has sort of shuttered so many movie theaters, but the virtual cinema, so it works just like on demand for people that aren't familiar. They can go to the Lemley Theater site, visit any of our social media this week for the film, and we'll have the link available. And then towards the end of October is the intended launch on all VOD platforms. Wherever you normally rent movies, we should be there.
Terrific. Guys, thank you so much for your time. And again, it's an amazing film. It just deserves to be seen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
And
thanks for the time too.
Taking the time, because our film lives and dies without the folks like you out there willing to give indie film a spotlight.
I love indie films. I think that the larger films have their place, but again, we lose so many indie films, in the runs and the kind of the greedy runs that large openings have, because they kick other films out of the theaters.
Yeah.
For those times. And I think, as bad as this pandemic has been, it's been good for indie filmmakers, mm-hmm. because we're seeing a lot of stuff on the different platforms that nobody would have seen.
We definitely have had some press opportunities that wouldn't have existed sort of pre-COVID. So there's a silver lining to everything in life. I think the real issue is we've gone from 400 films a year made worldwide to something like 16,000 films every year. So it's just, it more and more, it's less and less about finding a mainstream audience than it is making a film and targeting a niche audience. Even Netflix, for all their shows, they're not designed for everybody who has a Netflix subscription. They're just finding pockets of people that will like this subject matter or this subject matter. And that's the real shift in independent film, is learning how to market, how to understand the product you're making, as well as just making a great film, is learning how to get it out there and find an audience.
It is the second half of that word, show business.
Yes.
And they're just getting wise to that, we got to be a marketer too. So,
I will stand on street corners with a sandwich board sign on, like my friend Dan Mervish did to promote his film. Like anything that it takes, I will Barnum and Bailey the heck out of making sure people come to our circus.
That was a plot point, by the way, in Die Hard 3. I think the sandwich.
Yes.
Board.
Yeah, I would not be wearing that sandwich board. Yes. Yeah.
This celebrity interview is sponsored by.
I'm Annette Civarella with Pia Anderson Moss Hoyt, Utah's leading entertainment law firm, serving clients nationwide. We provide solid, attentive representation, focusing on minimizing risk, reducing cost, and protecting the reputation and privacy of our clients. Our goal is to provide you with the legal representation you need to make the right decisions and to protect you and your creative works. Call or email me for a free consultation.